Commander Cockings and Captain Fody here yet again, as we are every single week for another Trekyards mission briefing, where we take one of these ships, there's a lot of ships, discuss, theorise, and kind of have this improv discussion, taking what we know about the ship, discussing and analysing pictures, and see what on earth they are about. So what are we doing today?
Well, this week we're taking a look at a game changer. Well, at least for a short time anyway. The Breen Warship.
She was introduced in late DS9 as a new ally for the Dominion, and in the ship's first appearance blew up the Defiant. So quite a first outing.
You can say that again.
Quite a first outing.
I didn't actually mean that.
Shouldn't have said it then.
Anyway. Lucky they had another one ready to go in the Sao Paulo, which got renamed because it's kind of a dumb name. Anyways, a strange ship this week. So let's look at our first picture, shall we? Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff happening here.
There it is. Honestly, I'm not a fan of the Breen look. Ships that are not symmetrical really bother me.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me for this ship, actually. That I hadn't thought of. Okay, well, do you remember, as we always do you remember your first seeing this ship in its first appearance, and do you remember your first impressions?
No, I really don't, actually. Honestly. I just know I never really liked it. Like I said, it's not symmetrical, so it always throws me off. I just thought it was a weird design choice, personally.
Yeah, I remember I watched the second half of DS9 later because it didn't really grab me the first half, so I ended up, I was older when I saw this ship appear. I do think I remember the first time, but I just remember thinking, oh, okay. Defiant's dead. I mean, oh, it's back again. Okay. I think I preferred the costume and the helmet really to this ship because it's sort of a weirdly underwhelming design, even though you would think with the amount of stuff on it that it would be very impressive. I don't know. It's kind of got that weird duality.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint where everything is on it. It looks like it's bristling with a lot of weapons.
It does.
And I don't think it has that many, to be honest. I think it's got like
two
energy dissipators and 2 torpedo tubes or something, from what I can remember. Yeah, it also looks like it's got a few shuttle bays there.
It does, yeah. Might be a...
But it does have fighters, I believe. There are Breen fighters.
Cool. I mean, this picture is a great picture because you do get to see the amount of stuff on it. I'm not sure if this was a physical model. I think by the end of DS9 they're just using CG, so it's probably a purely CG model, so it would add little things here and there, but they did put a lot of time into making the model. A lot of things. If this is the real model, obviously, that does look that good, so it could be. It makes you think, what design structure were they going for? I mean, is the bridge on the top by that, I don't know, part is, and then it is each blade, I guess you could call it, is that a separate hull in a sense, like secondary primary hull?
Good question, and I don't know if I don't think the bridge would be on top on this ship.
Don't get the feeling either.
That's just like the Starfleet aesthetic. Every other ship, I think, smartens up with that. But
yeah. So it could be right in the middle of the middle, which is better defended.
Mm-hmm.
And then are the warp engines those two? I'm assuming so. Those two side blades, like I say, because they have got the slight green glowing elements. Possibly.
Maybe, yeah. See, I don't even, yeah, that's the thing that really throws me with this. I don't know where the nacelles are. It's so alien looking.
Which is good. I mean, that is good. It is cool in like how different it is, and I mean the designer of this, which I don't know. It wouldn't have been Rick because Rick was on Voyager. Wouldn't have been Jim because I think he was off DS9 at that point, maybe, or was it just on? I don't know who designed it, but how many random pieces like this must have been such a just elegant, like, hey, ship,
Yeah, we got a bunch of spare leftover model parts over here. Throw them in a pile. Oh, look, let's glue it together like that. That's kind of what it looks like.
But it is interesting. I think this would be a difficult ship to fight against because it's such a thin mission profile, or such a thin profile, and there's sort of odd holes that just to target it with torpedoes, it could move out of the way and dodge, and then I don't know. It feels very movable, and I think we do see that in the show. Being quite maneuverable, and assuming those points are weapons, has got 3 big-sized guns, and I'm sure there's aft torpedoes, and
Yeah.
it's interesting.
I remember looking at stats a while ago about this ship, and I think it only has two. I think they're energy dissipators is what it's called,
Well,
and two
that's
torpedo launchers, which seems kind of odd
right.
to me.
I mean, that's its primary special weapon that we see in DS9 that disables a Federation ship in a couple of shots. You know, which is a big game changer. Then we Federation do a dampener to the dampener, and then it becomes sort of useless. And then it's just a torpedo gunboat, as it were.
So let's go to the next picture. Oh, this is a cool one. I got the Breen Confederacy symbol there. You got full orthos. This has got the battleship, which is symmetrical, which I like. And then of the one that we're looking at here.
Frigate. Okay.
330 meters.
Which is a bit larger than the Connie. The refit Connie. Which is 305, I believe.
I thought the ship was like 420 or something.
Yeah, 330 is only 14 meters smaller than Voyager. So still pretty long for what it is, actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a bigger version of this ship though.
Well, that does put into perspective though, because the Dominion bug ship is only 95 meters, so it's far larger. I don't know. It's an. I think I always got a sense it was bigger, and at the same time they had fighter versions. I think scaling was a bit trouble with those big CG fight scenes, but it's an interesting side, and to have such a humongous battleship. I do kind of like that it's a frigate. That makes it feel better for me because, as you say, if it had less weapons, it's more of a specialist weapons platform, which is what that main blade is. The rest of it is its normal navigational deflector, warp engines, and that is the specialist weapon package. That's why it's so oddly proportioned. And then the battleship version is what it's the conventional design elements. And I mean the top picture looks like it's an actual design, but I don't remember seeing this from the show.
I was thinking the same thing actually.
It could just be recycled parts because I can see how if they orthos the ship, they could just model some elements because it could just be that. But I do quite like it, but I think it is losing some of that uniqueness. It looks actually like the sonar battleship.
Yeah, it does a little, doesn't it?
A waffle ship, the last two.
And cool. It's cool. It's cool that we've. Who was it? Rick said that they usually wait for Mike Ikuda to design the symbol for the race before they design the ships because they kind of base it off that. And you can see that here a little bit. Mm-hmm. You got the Breen Confederacy symbol, which is kind of that shape, which is neat.
So, yeah, also jagged points.
Yeah,
interesting. On to the next picture. She's at warp, a little bit dark, but I think it's fair to say those pylons blades are warp engines. I think you've got to make that assumption. I don't know. It's a weird one. Does it? I mean, it's trying to be very alien ship clearly, and the Breen are meant to be quite an alien race because how many other species don't have audible English? That's unusual. And how many have helmets the whole time? Also not many. But does this ship feel very... How well does it fit in this Trek universe? Could you see this being a Battlestar Galactica ship or a Farscape ship or a Stargate ship? I mean, does it still have Trek-isms?
I can see it being a Farscape or Stargate ship.
Okay. There you go.
But I think it does fit into the Star Trek world, to be perfectly honest with you. A lot of ships, I'll say, they just don't look like they do. This one I feel does. I don't know why that is. Because it is very strange compared to a lot of the ships we see in Star Trek, but I feel it does fit in the Star Trek universe. So
I think it's because it still does, in a vague sense, maintain the two nacelles and primary hull configuration, because your brain links to that as being its form of propulsion, which is a very Star Trek style. I think they could have done with a bit more, glowing elements to really highlight the nacelle part, but I mean, they could just be armoured. I mean, if the race itself can only breathe a certain atmosphere, that would lead to some level of defensive, culture. You can't really explore the galaxy without having specialist equipment, unlike Federation that can go on any planet breathing whatever air, whatever. So, I mean, I guess having more armour would make more sense, just for their culture.
I think the Breen are a very warlike culture anyway, if I recall correctly. So yeah, more armor makes sense for that reason, but
yeah,
I don't know, it's just such a weird design and aesthetic.
Yeah.
Let's go into the next picture.
Ooh, much clearer.
That's interesting. This says Breen Warship, not Breen Frigate. I don't know if there's. See, I wonder if the Warship is the kind of intermediate one that's like more close to the 450, 430, somewhere around there is what it's supposed to be, I think.
This one is clearly different though. This feels even more two-dimensional. The plates don't have as much depth to them.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is obviously a fan version that they've redesigned. It's missing some of the components of the previous ones. This feels less Star Trek-y. Gonna be honest. I think, like I said, it's because the nacelles now just feel like plates with lights rather than.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's so subtle. It's so easy to change the aesthetic. This one has a different vibe to me, and I don't like it as much. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. I mean, it's good. It's a great looking take on it. I like the way they kind of cleaned it up. But yeah, it is missing those glowing nacelle parts. And
this could be the fighter version.
Possibly.
That would
Although
work.
that doesn't. Well,
because then you wouldn't need warp engines, would you? And then that top section is just the bridge.
No, but how many people do you need on a fighter? Like 3 or 4 at the most.
Yeah, 3. There you go.
This just doesn't seem like a good design for a fighter. Because where are you going to sit?
No, I'm saying in the top bit, and you're just leaning back.
That'd be so huge. That'd be so huge if that top bit is just the.
Well, why? You just scale it down to a cockpit size. I mean.
I guess. It just doesn't. That doesn't work for me personally, but.
Yeah. It's all good.
Let's go to the next one.
Oh, yep.
Oh, these are like Drex Files ones, aren't they?
Yes, and these are full authos of the real model. It looks to be.
See the front view there. If it wasn't offset like that, it would look very Cardassian to me. It looks like a Galore class almost. So I kind of like that.
I do quite like the fore and after view though. They also have a Marquis Raider slight vibe with how much, or a Peregrine Fighter with how much the wings
Peregrine
are.
Fighter, yeah.
But I like the depth. I like how many layers there are. I like how.
But the thing is too, like the fore and aft view, if you saw that in orbit of a planet, just from that view, it looks like a starbase almost. It doesn't have a ship feel. It has more like of a base feel.
Or a helicarrier from a Marvel.
Yeah.
But
it does look like it's loaded with guns though, eh? Those 4 forward things look all pretty powerful.
Yeah, I would dare to say that all weapons. I would be interested if those other 3 components that you saw on the top were fighter bays. That would make a lot of sense. Maybe impulse engines on the back and then fighters on the front. Yeah. Do you think that the different blades detach and maybe can be set to explode? I guess if they're warp engines, that'd be a little bit more dicey. But I don't know. It feels like this could be detachable parts, and then the rest of it can just escape.
It's a possibility. I mean, who knows? One of the things I want to point out too, it looks like there's 4 shuttle bays or fighter bays almost. I'm wondering if the big main one is like the fighter bay, and then the other ones are just like regular shuttle bays,
like work bees and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Sounds
and
cool.
They look like fly through hangars too, because they got the things on the back.
Okay, that could be interesting. Yeah, because that would sort of make sense. You land in the front, it's small, but you want as much space as possible. Just launch at the back. Yeah. Interesting. Cool. And the next picture is a Eves Drex image. Again, the model. Lots of stuff put onto the ship. Lots of little details.
Yeah, it's very greebly.
It is very greebly. And that's probably just there.
It's kind of a dark image too.
Very dark, yeah. I do quite like the weapon. Clearly, the weapon components at the front. How many? It feels like they've sort of jerry-rigged this weapon, this energizing field, and they've just chuck as components that no, we need this flux capacitor and we need this, all these things. Just like, oh, now there's a weapon, and because we have shields, they hit it. But as long as we get a couple of shots off first, and that front feels a bit like a ray gun with those different lighting levels. Yep, the Breen ray gun.
Yeah, the very tip of it looks like almost like a handheld weapon.
Yep.
To some degree, so yeah.
Cool. And the next image is a scale chart with the entire Dominion.
Wow.
Forces. Yeah, that big ship's pretty big.
It is.
But we can see there are two versions. It's not overly high res, so I can't read the text, but it says Breen battleship. I think it says 700 meters, maybe. And then a smaller one, which is 350. So I think you might be right in having the two different scales, although I can't tell if they're too different. But they do sort of fit in size-wise. And if you look at the top one, it's about the same size as the sonar ship. So same-ish shape, same-ish size.
I just love the size of those Jemadar ships. Wow. Kind of like the Star Destroyers of Star Trek.
Yeah. You can see why they conquered a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And the next picture is from Star Trek Online.
A lot of Mark 11 weaponry. Some purple Jem'Hadar stuff. Crew complement 650. That sounds a bit much for me.
A live crew. I like that. What about the dead crew? Like,
wow. Breen Glet Warship, NCCN3. Wait a minute. But yeah, they obviously you can use other faction ships, but a
the Gret is the class name. That I do know. Gret class warship. So
interesting. And the next photo is a front view. Blueprints compiled by Gerald Gillen. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, again, this does feel like a Peregrine mixed with a Glor.
That's exactly. I don't know. The asymmetry doesn't bother me so much from the front. I mean, from the top it looks cool too, but I don't know. I just prefer my ships symmetrical.
I think you're welcome to.
And so this is going back to the first picture, which is our last picture, which is a great shot of it.
Yeah.
All in all, an interesting ship.
Very interesting ship.
Very interesting race. We never get to see what they actually look like. I mean, I would love to learn more about the Breen. I know that a lot of the technology that they have, they sold to the Ferengi. So that's how the Ferengi got their warp and became kind of more advanced.
They're one of the closest neighboring races, aren't they?
Yeah. So interesting design.
I think it's one of those ones that it appeared so late in the franchise in DS9 that it was like, hey, new ship, and then because they're obviously in wartime, they never had a chance to actually explain it or develop it. So it would have been really interesting if it appeared earlier on, and we could have got to see some internal space, got to see a bridge, got to see all these different things and learn what exactly it is, because it's one of those big, it comes out of nowhere and it makes an impression, but then becomes a background ship almost for DS9.
Yeah. I was just going to say, we didn't see any internals at all, did we?
I think we saw one once. I think this was one that kidnapped Worf and Ezri, I think. That's why we see it at Warp, I think.
Because I know the Breen live in extreme cold.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't ever recall seeing the interior, but you might be right.
I think we see a cell. But I mean, it's a really well-designed 3D model. I mean, there's so much detail. Well, actually, now we know the sort of rough scales. I can sort of see windows in the middle section, but there really is no indication of scale to this design.
No, there isn't. I wonder how many decks it would have. I would think maybe 25?
I was going to say 20 in the middle. 20 solid decks, then obviously got little sub-decks for the top spire thing. I don't know, it's a weird one, and I'm looking for the Eagle Moss magazine, which is coming soon, which will hopefully have some more information about why and who and what. I think it's one of those ships that there is lots of little bits of information, and once we talk to the designer, we'll get that information, but there just isn't... You can't guess that much from the design, because it's such an odd duck, you know? It doesn't fit. I mean, it's a brand new race, a brand new ship, a brand new style, and they certainly went unique. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to learning more about it, absolutely. So,
cool. All right.
That's about all I have to say on this one.
Cool. Well, that is it for another Trekyards mission briefing. As you always know, as you know that we are always the Relaxed Discussion Show, mostly improv, mostly weekly, always weekly, mostly improv. And yeah, if you want to support the show, please go to our Patreon and support the show, because we can't do this or any of the shows without you guys' help. So please give what you can: $5, $10, $20, $30, whatever you can, or a one-time donation at our PayPal, which you can find at our website at trekyards.com. No, that's our email at trekyards.com. And until then, check out our Saturday releases, our Thursday releases, our Wednesday releases, and just keep enjoying our weekly goodness. So until then, this is Commander Kungs.
And Captain Foley.
And we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.